is now in session.
Good night. Good night.
Welcome to Ep.6 of Therapy Sessions. I thank y'all for joining me, and I'm looking forward to what this episode is going to do for people because I believe that it's going to be some information that is very helpful for a lot of people and can help change perspectives and shift mindsets, right? So today, I wanted to talk about something that can be heavy, something that's real heavy. You might want to sit down for this one. But I want to talk about suffering. Suffering. And how God can use or does use suffering and allows suffering. That's heavy, right? God allowing suffering. So, what brought this about? So, I was at church Sunday and I had got a prophetic word. So, well, let me back up. So, for those that don't know, um, I deal with certain disabilities at the moment. Um, I have legal blindness and I have nerve damage in my back and I have some stomach issues, right? And it can get rough. I've been dealing with them for about 7 years or so now, and it can get rough. It can get rough at times. But by the grace of God, I have a lot of willpower to keep going and to keep pushing through. Um, and God's been with me. He's been my joy through it all. But I'm always transparent and honest, and it gets hard sometimes. You struggle sometimes, and sometimes you just honestly get tired of dealing with it. It's not easy to deal with. So you have your moments. And I'm usually a joyful person, upbeat person, cheerful person, but sometimes I have my moment. And I'm a firm believer in having your moment. Everybody needs that moment to not be okay. And I've learned to have those moments for myself, even as a strong friend or a person that people go to for strength. I need to have my moment too, in the appropriate times, in front of the appropriate people. I don't just do it in front of just anybody or just any time. Sometimes you got to hold on till you can get those moments to handle business in a moment. But I have my moments. Sometimes I cry out to God, like actual tears. Break down. Just be weak and vulnerable before Him. And I'm not embarrassed or ashamed to say it because can't nobody say nothing about my manhood and masculinity, because of, oh, he's soft, he break it down. No, I ain't worried about none of that. I don't care about people's opinions enough because I'm pleasing to God. I'm doing things God's way. And Jesus cried. Jesus shed tears. So would you dare say you're more of a man than Jesus? No. So I had my moment because I do physical therapy. I had a knee injury, just out of nowhere, some knee pain, but so it just stagnated my progress, right? And it got kind of frustrating. Like it got really frustrating and stuff. Sometimes I just get tired of it, and so I got a word on Sunday, and I had been studying this too, but I got a word on Sunday where my pastor had prophesied that God said that, He hears me. He hasn't overlooked me, that He hears me, um, and to not rush Him, and that He's trying to show me my strength in my weakness because He is my strength. So that lets me know that healing is going to come, but not right now. So what does that also mean? And this is a harsh reality that a lot of people don't want to hear and feel like God is wrongful. But that also means that my suffering has to continue for a time. My suffering has to continue for a time. I have to be patient and go through this, that it's not going to be lifted or released just yet. Right? So, for the time being, His grace is sufficient for me until the healing comes. And He said that in Scripture. He told someone that, they asked for healing, but He said His grace is sufficient for them. So He didn't remove it. And we don't like that. The fact that God doesn't remove the suffering all the time. Sometimes, yes, He does, but sometimes He doesn't. Just like when Jesus and the disciples, this is what I was studying, Jesus and the disciples came upon this blind man. And one of the disciples asked, who sinned that this man became blind? Was it his parents? Was it him? Jesus said, nobody. Nobody sinned. That he was that way, was born that way, so that God's work, God's power may be made manifest, so that God may get the glory out of his healing. So he was that way since a kid, since birth, actually. He was that way all his life. And he's a man now, not a boy. He's a man now. So we don't know what his age was, but however old he was, at minimum, let's say by today's standards, 18. So that's 18 years of being blind, which means whatever he had to go through while being blind, and he was made that way for God's glory, God didn't remove the challenges and the suffering that he had to go through while awaiting his healing. God didn't lessen or remove the suffering. Excuse me. He didn't remove the suffering. And when people hear stuff like that and think about stuff like that, they feel like God is wrong. They feel like if the suffering isn't removed, there's something must be wrong. Maybe this is the enemy. There's got to be the enemy, because truly God won't want me to suffer. No, if that was the case, there would be no need for long suffering, aka patience. So that shows that you have to go through some stuff sometimes. God doesn't remove all the suffering. And that even, had to be brought to my attention when I was talking to one of my best friends about, man, I just would love to have all these riches and stuff so that I could help people. And she was telling me, that might be another reason that God hasn't given it to you yet, because that sounds good, yes. But what if God is doing something in their suffering? What if he's using that to teach them a lesson? What if he's using that to teach them a lesson? And here you come, you want to remove all of the suffering. But even God himself doesn't always remove all of the suffering. Sometimes people have to go through some things. And it's a term that I've heard before, and I hated it when I heard it. It was called suffer well. Suffer well. Nobody honestly wants to suffer, right? Let's just be honest. None of us want to have to suffer. But sometimes suffering is necessary. There's a lesson in the suffering. We're uncomfortable. And sometimes the amount of suffering is in our mind. Because I've been through, let me use myself as an example. Sometimes my nerve damage comes with pain. I feel pain like in my legs, right? Excruciating pain. And it's excruciating. And there's been times I've been sitting with it and I'm like, man, this hurts. At first I'm like, man, this sucks. Jeez. But then one day I just sat in the midst of it and I was like, you know what? I don't have to do all this wincing and pain and groaning and boning. I literally don't have to do that. It's not making it no better. And I just dealt with it. I just dealt with the pain. I'm like, yeah, it didn't help the hurt anymore. Like, I still hurt just as much, but I didn't have to do all that moaning and groaning, complaining and whining. I just had to go through it until it let up. And that's a lot of the times in our situation. And I believe this is some of the stuff that God is teaching me, that yes, we may have to go through some stuff, and become uncomfortable, but a lot of times that could just be in our mind how much we're suffering, we make it bigger than it actually is. Sometimes we are in some real situations that really do hurt, and sometimes you got to let it out. That's fine. But at some point, you should be able to grow through that and go through that and overcome it. At some point, you got to overcome that. Because when we really realize whose hand is on us, if God's hand of protection is on us, that means, yes, we got to go through this right now for a time, but there's nothing that can be lost that can't be gained back. As long as we stay in God's will and align ourselves with Him. Right. We look at loss like we're so afraid of loss. And I lost my job because we think that God is supposed to stop all loss, right? We want God to intervene before the loss happens. But we forget that loss isn't the end all be all. You worried about your credit score, if you lose your apartment, you worried about, repos and stuff like that. And so therefore, if God doesn't move before that happens, you feel like He's wrong. But you forget, when you have that mindset, you forget that God has got all this. And if He has ordained for this to happen, if this is in His plan for this to happen, and that there's greater coming behind it, there's nothing that you can lose that He can't restore back to you. If He can raise the dead, then surely He can give you another car. Surely He can give you another house or apartment, regardless of what your credit score might be. Who's going to stop God? Who's going to tell God no? Who can really, who's strong enough to get in God's way if He says, hey, they got a credit score of 200, but that was part of my plan, and now I'm going to let them get this nice house later. None of that matters when it comes to God. Now, of course, this comes along with being in His will, aligning yourself with His will and being obedient to His instructions, right? But when He ordains for it to happen, I'm just strictly speaking about when He ordains for loss to happen, for you to lose everything, then He can give it back because the responsibility is on Him. He can give that back. Now, if you just doing what you not supposed to do, not taking care of responsibilities, and there's loss, He's not obligated to give that back. If He didn't ordain for you to lose it, He's not obligated to give that back to you. He can out of His grace and mercy, but it's not mandatory for Him to give that back to you because He didn't ordain for you to do that. You did that. You messed it up with disobedience, lack of stewardship or something like that, or you didn't follow instructions, which caused the loss. So His grace and mercy may give that back. But if He don't, then He's still not wrong because He didn't tell you to do that, to get yourself in that situation. And a part of that is something that I have been learning and understanding that God had to show me that words matter. Listen to the prophetic word. Listen to the words in the wording of the instructions. Because if He says, hey, I'm going to do something, don't put a timetable on it. Don't be like, okay, if He says, hey, I'm going to heal you, that doesn't necessarily mean tomorrow unless He says tomorrow. If He says He's going to do it, give Him the space and time to do it, unless He puts a time frame on it. Now, when He puts a time frame on it, say, hey, within the next 2 weeks, I'm going to do this for you. Then you can look for a time frame. But outside of that, if He doesn't say, hey, if He doesn't specifically say, hey, I want to do this for you before that light bill gets cut off, I'm going to do this before you lose your car, then don't expect it to be mandatory that it has to be done before you experience the loss. The loss isn't the end all be all. The loss isn't victory for the enemy. The loss isn't meaning it's over for you. Because if it's in God's will, He can restore or give you greater. But continue to trust Him Because once we have a tendency, though, if we lose a thing, then God loses our trust. But that shouldn't be so. So allow God to be God and be sovereign. Because he's a God over time. You can't waste time when you're waiting on God. When that's his actual instruction. Now make sure that that's his actual instruction. You're doing what he actually says. Make sure the words, the wording, prophetic words and everything line up with scripture. Make sure of that. Make sure the instructions line up with scripture that somebody tells you. And if so, allow him to be him, and you're not wasting time. You can't waste time. I used to feel like that. I'm like, God, I'm still single in my prime years and stuff like that, and I gotta wait so long for marriage. I'm wasting my time. I had that thought. But if it hadn't happened yet, and that's in God's will for me to have to wait so long, then I'm not wasting time. Now, of course, if I'm in the way and I do what I'm supposed to do and I'm making the time longer, that's different. But if he's making you wait, you're not wasting time. And anything you may feel like you lost, he can restore it. Because he's God over time. God made the sun and the moon stand still. In the book of Joshua with the Israelites, he made the sun and the moon stand still. Which, if we believe that the earth rotates and everything, he stopped the rotation of the earth. He made the earth stand still. So surely he can fix your little problem. Not wait, let me switch that. Your problem ain't little. It's big in your world, but it's not big enough that he can't handle it. Let me watch my wording. I'm working on that. Y'all not working on that. So God can fix any situation that you're in. Just submit to him. And understand that just because you lose a thing, that doesn't mean that's the end all be all. Your job isn't your source. God is. So if it's ordained for you to lose your job or get fired from your job, still trust God in that and don't be moved by that. Don't be moved by loss or suffering. Let today be the day that you stop being moved by loss and or suffering. Don't let doubt set in because of loss and suffering. And I know that's a hard thing for some. Because you still have to go through it and experience it. You got to experience the physical pain. You got to experience the physical hurt. You got to experience losing, the loss. You got to experience grieving. You got to experience your situation for however long. Yes, you have to go through it. But even in that, God can give you peace and God can give you joy if you allow him to. You don't have to feel the way that you feel about it. You don't have to be woe is me. You don't have to look at it like you're a victim. God can give you peace. Remember, peace that surpasses all understanding. God can give you a peace that surpasses all understanding, even in the midst of your situation. In the midst of you losing your job, in the midst of your food stamps getting cut off, in the midst of you dealing with physical pain, God can still give you peace. God can still give you joy. And people will look at you crazy. Oh, dang, you just got fired. Why you got so much joy? Oh, dang, your food stamps get cut off. You don't know how to make a way for your kids and stuff like that. What you doing joyful? Shut them out and listen to God. Follow his instructions. And sometimes when you're in these suffering seasons or suffering periods, you got to shut certain people out. And some people you just can't let know what you got going on because they'll distract you. They'll start sowing seeds of doubt and discord and division between you and God. Be careful of them seeds that get planted. That might be a time to concentrate and just get before God, which is you and him. Some people you got to get out your way because they're going to start questioning everything and planting seeds. That's how Satan got Adam and Eve. He asked the question. He questioned God and made them question God and doubt, and that led to sin coming upon the world because they ate the fruit in their disobedience. And people will do that same thing to you, intentionally or unintentionally. And sometimes these suffering seasons make us vulnerable. We're real vulnerable. So we got to be careful who we listen to, who we talk to about our situation. It kind of reminds me of fasting because pleasure is removed. Pleasure is removed. Think about when you're fasting, you just got water. If you're doing a water fast or a Daniel fast, but you remove all pleasure foods and everything like that, right? No sodas, no juice, no pleasurable things. And hunger, or it may feel like starvation, that feels like suffering, right? That's like a form of suffering. So it's similar when it comes to loss that you may experience, a loss of pleasurable things, a loss of pleasure, because being able to pay your bills because of that job is pleasing. You might not like the job, but having it and being able to pay that bill, that's pleasing. Being able to go to and fro where you want to go, that's pleasing. But when you lose that car, you're suffering, right? It's a form of suffering. So it's like a form of fasting in a way. Well, there's a correlation with fasting right there. So yes, God allows suffering, and He is still good even in the midst of that, in the midst of your suffering. So submit your suffering to God. I encourage you to submit your suffering to God. Submit it to God and allow Him to teach you lessons in that. Don't be so distracted by your suffering that you forget to get the lessons from your suffering. Don't be so distracted by your suffering that you forget to get the lessons out of your suffering. He's talking to you in that. So sometimes pleasurable things got to be removed for you to hear Him clearly, for you to finally pay attention, for a lesson to be taught. So don't get distracted by it. Calm all that down, all that fussing, as the as the old folks will say, hush that fuss. So hush that fuss and get before Him. Be still and know that He is Lord. Be still. Get into worship. You're okay. You're okay. He got you. His hand is on you still. As long as you stay in His will. Focus more on being in His will than you are on what you don't have right now. And watch your language with it as well too. Say, I may not have it right now, but I'm gonna get it back. I'm gonna be all right. I've learned to do that for the past couple of years. I learned to do that in the face of every adversity. Just say, I'm gonna be all right. Everything gonna be okay. I don't care how bad I may be feeling in my body. I don't care what financial situations may look like. I'm gonna be all right. It is what it is right now. Whatever I can do something about and need to do something about, do. Whatever I can't do nothing about of myself, I give it a God. It's gonna be all right. And guess what? It always is. So I just wanted to encourage y'all with that today. I hope that encouraged y'all. Hope that blessed y'all. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know down in the comment section below. If you want to book a one-on-one session for prayer, if you need spiritual guidance, if you need wisdom, or if you just need a safe space to talk and be heard. Strong friends need a strong friend in a safe, non-judgmental environment. So email me at therapysessions@gmail.com. Yes, that is THEREAPY sessions@gmail.com. not therapy, THERAPY, but that's an extra E. So if you forgot to put that extra E in there for there, if you got to put that extra E, you email me and I haven't got back to you. That's why. So if that has been you, you can either email me again or just write in the comment section. Or if you follow me on social medias, then just inbox me or direct message me. And we can get you set up. It's donation based. There's no set price. It's whatever the Lord places on your heart. Hey, if all you got is $1, you would have donated $1. That's fine. If you don't have it, you honestly don't have anything, but you need help, book a session. That's fine. So that's my message for today, y'all. I thank y'all for joining me. Any questions, comments, concerns, or anything, let's discuss in the comment section down below. So that's today's video, and we out.
Your therapy session is now complete.
I know life ain't always fair.